Do you like to talk about social issues, your opinion on products, your habits and behaviors, and even try new products? Why yes sir, I do. What if I told you you could get paid decently for doing all or any of these things?
That would be awesome!
That's what this video will cover. Research groups, aka market research, aka being paid for your time and opinion. Who doesn't love free money? All you need to do is listen carefully and wake up, Jeff! Oh yes, the free money. I'm listening. Oh brother. Hey everyone.
Hi everybody!
Don't be like Jeff here. A quick video explaining what a focus group is, what market research is, my experience with these over the past few years, and how you can get involved too. So if you want to be paid for your time and opinion, listen up. Let's get started by defining market research. A business or organization has a specific problem. It could be that they want to sell more of their products, or possibly wonder why they aren't selling as expected in the first place. The problem could also be, why don't more people vote for our political party or candidate? Maybe a business is trying to enter into a new market and needs advice on where to place themselves or their products against competitors. These are all problems that can be potentially solved by finding out the market's motives at a granular level. This is the everyday person. These businesses and organizations will pay a small fee to an agency to gather data about a specific topic and relay this information to them for doing the legwork. This is where focus groups come into play. Surveys are a pretty common way about getting feedback from people for a few questions. However, the response rate is generally very low as people don't feel it's worth their time to provide feedback. It's like leaving a review on Trustpilot for a business whose services you've been using lately. Unless you either really love or despise the business, most people don't think about it, nor do they want to spend the time making the review. A focus group is a structured way to get people together to answer questions and pick their brains for how they think. And as it's organized, participants are usually compensated for this. As the agencies that run these projects are businesses themselves, some of the money they earn is able to be passed down to the participants. A focus group, at least in this day and age, isn't just picking 5 people off the street and saying, "Hey, do you want to try a new flavor of chocolate and tell us your thoughts?" The agencies running the research campaign will generally screen potential candidates to make sure they fit a specific criteria. The screening is usually done via online surveys, but could also be phone calls. This way you can determine if someone is right for the research. Example, if there was a campaign that wanted to find out what would convince someone to buy the new Ferrari, you wouldn't want someone who doesn't drive to give their input, as it's pretty useless. You would probably want a mix of people, some that have the money to afford one and some that might not. And this can tell you if price is a strong factor influencing their decision or motives. Or people just don't like Ferraris anymore, but want Pagani Zondas instead. Nevertheless, as mentioned, these groups provide information that's useful to someone, and that's why they exist. Generally cheaper than advertising a new product on TV. This can spread more word of mouth about a particular product or issue, and it's a lot cheaper than asking questionnaires on social media, as well as being more effective at providing useful information for these specific questions. Now I'll speak a bit about my experiences participating in focus groups over the past 2 years. I've signed up to a platform that emails me when a new research topic is about to commence to provide a screening survey to see if I'm eligible. This also includes when they plan on running the session to see if our schedules align. I've filled a lot of these screening surveys out while at the gym. I would estimate upwards of 50 in the 2 years. The email with the screening survey mentions how much time is needed and the reward incentive if chosen. So you can quickly determine if it's worth your time. If it's going to be a 30-minute food or drink tasting, that's a 1 to 2 hour drive away for $40. It's not worth my time, for example. But it might be for someone who lives next door to the tasting. Once chosen, sometimes you need to complete a pre-task. This could be to get your impression on a topic or issue prior to participating in the focus group, where more information will be provided. I should also mention market research is all confidential, hence everything in relation to my experiences is somewhat vague. The pre-task might also be more of a homework task for you to educate yourself on a particular issue, so you can come into the focus group already knowledgeable and more likely to have a stance or opinion and be able to speak about how you got to that standing point. Pre-task completion will generally reward you for your time separately to participating in the focus group itself. You'll see the breakdown laid out in the initial email mentioning the new research topic with the screening survey. Over the past 2 years, I've participated in about 6 focus groups in total. Generally, research companies don't want to pick the same participants again in a 6-month period to make sure that they're capturing diverse answers. This is not always the case, but this is an industry standard. And simply, you just might not fit the criteria they're looking for on a particular project. If the topic is about makeup products, it's unlikely they're going to want 20-something-year-old males. They may also want the opinion of people throughout your country, not just a cluster within your state. Out of these 6 or so groups, I've had 1 in-person group, and the rest were over a web conferencing platform like Zoom. The group kind of operates like a school classroom or a debate, with the researcher asking questions and ensuring all participants give their input and opinions, whilst the researcher must remain careful to not bias anyone's opinion. Groups generally run for about 1 to 2 hours. What can you expect to be paid? All projects vary in time, rewards, and eligibility, like I've said before. In my experience, it's somewhere around the $40 to $75 an hour mark, generally rewarded with a bank transfer, but sometimes with prepaid Visa card, online gift card, or points to the platform that's running the project, of which can usually be exchanged for a gift card. If there's a pre-task as well, you might spend 1.5 to 3 hours in total for $150 to $250 in compensation. And there's really no effort or time needed outside of the group participation and the pre-task, other than completing the screening surveys, which can sometimes take 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how quick you are, and if your information has been saved from previous surveys and doesn't need to be updated. I had 1 focus group where at the start the researcher had asked us if we had purchased a particular product that just released to the market. 2 out of 5 of us had purchased this after since completing the screening survey, as it was vague and we weren't under any obligation to not do anything. So we ended up getting paid as if we had completed the whole group, as this was poor planning on the researcher's end for not checking with us prior to commencing the group. As people who had bought the specific product, we no longer fit the criteria for the overarching theme of research. If you're from Australia, you can check out Cornerstone Research, spelled CRNR Stone, Real-Time Research, paidfocusgroups.au, or researchconnections.com.au. If you're from the United States, a YouTuber that does great side hustle and stock trading content called Kamikaze Cash has had luck with user interviews, as well as HiveMind.zone and focusgroup.com. Basically, you go into one of these platforms and create an account. Then most of these that I've mentioned want to know all kinds of information about you off the bat. Education, employment, income, family situation, habits, etc. It's up to you what information you give them. I don't put everything on the profile, as the surveys themselves will also ask questions and sometimes double up. But you might need to put a somewhat fleshed out profile of yourself on some of these platforms for them to actually work in your favor. Personally, I've only used Cornerstone Research, but I've just signed up to 2 of the other platforms mentioned to hopefully increase my participation rate while I have the free time. From memory, starting my profile with Cornerstone Research didn't involve providing too much information, as they tend to ask it inside the survey. Given that I've completed many surveys and only been selected for a handful of projects in 2 years, this tells you this isn't going to be a consistent income stream. Unless perhaps you're signed up to multiple platforms and turn the average of 2 a year into 6 to 8 a year. That way you would expect to pay out maybe every 6 weeks or so. Either way, I do think it's a good side hustle to bring in some extra spending money that you can do from your home with little to no effort and no capital required, assuming you have a laptop or webcam to participate in the online group. I commend you to search up a few of the sites mentioned and try participating in market research yourselves as a way to make a few extra bucks here and there. I'll put links in the description of the video for you to use. If you sign up to a few of these platforms, check for new projects often, and are in the demographic that researchers are looking for, then you can make some serious side money for very little time invested. If you're keen to try out market research or learn something, please like the video. If you've participated before, please comment and tell us about your experiences. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe for more. This is the first video in a playlist called Side Hustles, where I'll go through various side hustles over time and provide more information on how you can make extra cash and my experience with the hustle. Hope you've learned something today. Feel free to check out my other videos, like the most recent monthly money saver video that I'll put a link here. Until next time, peace.